So apparently even the Taliban hate the 9 to 5 and they miss the good old days. It's not just us that hate the crushing, soulless corporate grind. Even terrorists feel the same way. And I guess that's one thing we have in common. So a couple years ago, the US military pulled out of Afghanistan and the Taliban obviously seized power. And there's a lot of commotion and chaos for a long time. But it seems like they've slipped into what sounds like an episode of The Office. I guess once you take over a country, turns out you have to also run it. And just like the rest of the working world, the Taliban are finding out that running industries and government just kind of sucks. And what started out as kind of living out this Wild West lifestyle of shooting people in the mountains, transitioning into being a office drone is apparently not for everyone. So it says here the Taliban may have won the war in Afghanistan, but the jihadists who once spent their days riding horses in the countryside are now stuck behind a desk, laminating their boring computer jobs, spending all their time on Twitter, high rent, and commutes to work. The Taliban are learning that the hard part wasn't the guerrilla warfare, but making it 8 hours a day in front of a computer. So this one guy's saying life was simple and free during jihad. All we had to deal with was making plans for attacks and for retreating. People didn't expect much from us, and we had little responsibility towards them. Whereas now, if someone is hungry, he deems us directly responsible for that. They used to do whatever they wanted. It was like summer camp to them. And now, it's like they graduated from university and they have to get a real job, and they're realizing like if they could extend the war an extra couple of semesters, it sounds like they would. I guess even when you're struggling, there's a sense of fulfillment, and then once you just have to do one thing all day every day, your life suddenly has less purpose and meaning. He's saying that people didn't expect much from them when they were just fighting the war because they were just the Taliban. Nobody was like, hey, the Taliban needs to fix grocery prices. And I think one of the funniest parts for me is even the Taliban isn't safe from being addicted to Twitter. And there's just something funny about like a Taliban guy sitting there for 8 hours on Twitter, just kind of reacting to news and gossip and pop culture. One of the biggest things they hate is traffic. This guy's saying last year it was tolerable, but in the last few months it's become more and more congested. You'd think he's talking about LA and not Kabul. He was saying that back then we had a great degree of freedom about where to go, where to stay, and whether to participate in the war. However, these days, you have to go into the office before 8 a.m. and stay there till 4 p.m. Yeah, I never thought I'd hear a guy say that war is better than office life. We are tested by cars, wealth, and women. And he says many of them have fallen into these seemingly sweet but actually bitter traps. So this is a beautiful thing we're seeing. The Taliban being introduced to Western consumerism. And they're like, oh, this shit's kind of nice. I mean, overall, I'm kidding. Would I still rather have a corporate job than go to war? Yes. But it's just funny that on the other side of war, once you reach peace, it's still the same like existential grind over and over again. It's like Japan after World War II being peaceful, and yet present day it has the highest office suicide rate in the world. So maybe there's something to the system we've created that isn't that great either. Better than being killed in a war, but it at the same time still somehow sucks. I don't know what the solution is. Maybe the Taliban can try van life. Maybe they can get into TikTok, try to be content creators. Maybe the Taliban can get into startups and they can start making apps. I think the next step for them is going to be remote work. They're going to push to work from home because, you know, the thing with the war is they couldn't war from home. They had to go to the battlefield or whatever. Who knows what the future is going to be? But it sounds like it's going to be just as depressing as what we have here. And maybe that is beautiful and that unites us in a weird way.